you ever wondered what a cheap headless guitar from Amazon was like? Well, me either really, but since I've started making these videos, Amazon has caught on and started recommending me all sorts of cheap guitars. And not even just in the app, in my Instagram and Facebook feeds as well. It's like I'm living in some sort of dystopian budget guitar hell. Soon I saw the ad for what I would describe as the most hideous stringed instrument I've ever seen in my life. Sorry if this is your thing, but in my defense, I posted a poll and the majority of you that voted, thank you so much for that by the way, agree with me. But those ads are so persistent, and my will against making videos about cheap guitars is weak. So I did the totally rational thing and ordered one so I could drag you through this nightmare with me. Hello, you beautiful people. I'm sure some of you are ugly too. It's okay, you're also welcome here. Welcome to Budget Guitar Hell. I'm your host. Taylor lives in his garage, mostly Danley. I just realized that makes it sound like I have marriage problems. I assure you guys, my marriage is totally fine. Let me ask you a question. Do you enjoy getting a good deal on a guitar? What about guitars that have strong resonance and tone? What about guitars that have no headstock? Okay, well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. By the way, I'm just editing this now and notice that this picture is actually flipped, or someone put the strings on backwards. Either way, it's kind of funny. The guitar that's in this box, well, actually not this specific box, use your imagination, is the cheapest headless guitar on Amazon currently. And at the time of making this video, it comes in at $169.99, which is pretty cheap considering that the guitar it steals its whole aesthetic from retails for about $1,000. Although I will say I think I prefer the white pickguard. Anyways, it is much cheaper, but it can't be that bad.
What's up guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the I Tried the Cheapest Metal Guitar series. I don't know what to call this series. I was thinking about calling this series I Dumpster Dived on the internet, something like that, because that's what it feels like sometimes. So in full disclosure, I bought this guitar myself. This will be a review. I will give you all of my opinions on this guitar, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But there is a sponsor for today's video, and that is Sweetwater in collaboration with Sennheiser.
Sennheiser has been making audio products for over 75 years, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. I mean, they must make good stuff, right? How else would they stay relevant for that long? The Sennheiser 421 MK2 is a legendary full-body dynamic microphone with a cardioid pattern, meaning it is most sensitive to sound coming directly in front of the microphone. It is exceptional in a wide variety of applications like voiceover or drums, but we are going to use this one today to mic up a guitar cabinet. The 421 has always been one of my favorite microphones for guitar cabs. It has a very, very detailed mid-range that can give metal guys like me some extra aggression out of the mids and high mids, which I personally find very pleasing. It also has this little switch that goes from S to M, and I know what you're thinking, but don't be a creep. The M is for music and the S is for speech, which will roll off any unwanted low end in 5 stepped positions. And we are going to be using the full spectrum music mode in today's video.
So if you are in the market for a Sennheiser microphone or anything for that matter from Sweetwater and you use my affiliate link down in the description below, it will greatly help out the channel and I will really appreciate you. Okay, let's open this thing. All right, it is, I mean, it's headless. You know, figures it's gonna be tiny. When this thing showed up on my doorstep, my wife actually asked me if it was like a guitar for little kids because it's so small. It does come with this gig bag. There's not very much, there is some padding in here, but there's not very much padding. It's mostly just for holding the guitar, you know? No one cares about the gig bags anyways, right? And it's Asmuse. Like it says on the box right here. Asmuse, as music. I have no idea what that means. Maybe it's a bad translation or something, but that is the company's name. Oh, this is already really bad. Let's peel this thing off here. Oh my God. I can feel how bad the fretwork is. Okay, so this is the Asmuse headless guitar. This guitar looks like someone who unironically wears a bow tie, if you know what I mean. It passed someone's QC. I don't know how. I mean, I can see this. It's just not great. Oh my God. Oh God, it feels terrible. Okay, let's read the specs on this guy anyways.
This is the Asmuse electric guitar and the body material is listed as wood. That's literally what it says. The back and top material is black wood, and I don't know if that's a type of wood. I'll put it on the screen if I can find it. Oh, hi there. Sorry to drop in on you like this. So while I was editing this bit, I did look, and yes, blackwood is a thing, specifically African blackwood from, well, Africa. It's very expensive and rare wood and notoriously difficult to work with. So what's it doing on this ultra budget guitar? Because if this guitar is made out of a tree so rare, it was listed as one of the most expensive woods in the world, according to Wikipedia, why would it be a sub $200 guitar? Oh, and while I was writing this bit to explain the other bit, I came across this, which makes a lot more sense. So we're just gonna go with poplar. It does list the type of fretboard as rosewood, however. Wait a second here. Your tune can be stable and smooth with the maple fret. We can't trust anything that this listing says. The listing says it has a slim C-shaped neck profile, but I wouldn't call it that. I'd call it a chubby C or a chungus C. Yeah, that's better. Leave that take in. There's 2 single coil pickups and a humbucker. There's a 5-way blade selector switch, a tone knob, and a volume knob. A very unique bridge system that I've never really seen anywhere before, but I'm not some headless guitar aficionado, so you can't really take anything I say about it seriously.
You put the ball end of the strings up here at the headstock, and then you actually lock it down. It looks like a Floyd Rose locking nut, but it's not. And then we have the actual nut here, so it's like multiple nuts.
These nuts.
Kind of weird. And then you have these fine tuners down here, and I'm assuming that when you pull these things off, that's how you lock the string down. Oh no, wait. These things just spin. You just wind the string in there. Wow, this is really... And I don't know what this does. It's very interesting. I'm going to have to familiarize myself. Oh, look at that. That just pulls off. What is this for? Oh, look at this. It's like a little gear thingy that magnetizes into the side there, and then you put this in here. Oh, and it allows you to... This is actually really cool. This is forward thinking. So it has this little tiny crank that slides right into the bridge, and it's a magnet, so that will actually hold it in. And then you can put that in these fine tuners, so you don't have to twist these with your fingertips. This is actually really cool. It kind of makes up for the... No, it doesn't. And then there's not really a whole lot of other specs listed on Amazon here. So now right off the bat, the build quality of the guitar seems fine. It is okay, but the fretwork is terrible. The fretwork is very sharp and pokey on the ends. Some of these frets are raised up out of the fretboard, like I can get my fingernail underneath them. Sliding your hand across the fretboard is very uncomfortable because these frets are very pokey. So I'm gonna do my best to get this thing set up and playable. I'm not gonna sit here and like grind all these frets down or anything, but yeah, I get my fingernail under that fret, dude. It's pretty bad. You know, to me, this makes a guitar damn near unplayable because you know, you're sliding your hand, it's like you're gonna scratch your hand. Now, of course, you could get a file, you could fix this yourself if you really liked the aesthetic of this guitar, if you thought this was really cool and it's a great deal. I'll leave that up to you, but personally, I wouldn't. Just as is, holding this guitar in my hands and feeling it, I would already give this thing a fail. Like if we were grading, this would get a fail from me. Let's set it up, let's plug it in. Maybe I will change my mind about it. Probably not, but who knows? I might change my mind about it. So, yeah, let's set it up and plug it into something.
Okay, so real quick here, I'm trying to clean this thing off. It is fucking filthy. This guitar is so disgustingly filthy. Look at this. It had this protective plastic on the pickups, but you could see like the grime. So there's just like grime on these pickups, man. So someone put that protective plastic over this pickup that was covered in just like this gross shit that I have to scrub off of it. I mean, this is what you get. This is what you pay for, I guess. Cutting corners. Can't even be bothered to give you something that's clean, you know? And again, these frets are terrible. I mean, look at this. I'm trying to dry this off with a paper towel and it's just snagging bits of the paper towel. This could be your skin. Be careful out there, man. Be careful out there. Let's finish this up. All right, one last thing here before I put strings back on this guitar. The fretboard, if you can see how rough the fretboard is, it's like it wasn't even sanded. And as a result, it's really difficult to clean. Dust and dirt just get in these grooves and it just makes it really difficult to clean out. I don't think that that's on, I just think that they just cut corners on this. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how rough the fretboard is. I know at this point, is anyone surprised? I mean, it's a budget Amazon guitar, but again, I feel like I should point these things out as I come across them, you know, because, I don't know, you might have seen this guitar in the thumbnail and thought, wow, that thing's really cool, I want to get one. Well, know this before you dive in. All right, guys, we have the Asmuse shredder guitar, but not shredder like shredder like it's gonna shred my hand apart when I play it. I'm actually very nervous about this because I've said it 100 times already. Frets on this thing, pretty sharp. Maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe you know how to file frets down and you're like, whatever. Why are you being such a bitch about it? Well, it's not something I do. My guitar setup stops at intonation. We are plugged into this Boss Katana head that is powering this 𝗦𝗇𝗏 4x12 cabinet that is being mic'd up with a mic from today's sponsor, Sweetwater. This is a Sennheiser 421 MK2. they even make the MK1 anymore? I don't think so. This is an 421 MK2, an excellent microphone if you are in the market for a new microphone or just anything in general, and you use my Sweetwater code down in the description. It really helps out the channel. You have beautiful eyes. Okay, enough with the sponsor talking. Let's just play, huh? Oh, we just went gent. All right, I'm gonna have to tune this thing again. I don't think this thing is gonna stay in tune, and I don't really know how to remedy that situation because it's a completely different setup than anything I'm used to. So can we put this like on the, I can't even use a clip-on tuner. I mean, I stretched the strings. For those of you who tell me like I don't already know, I did stretch the strings. It's not that, it's just something with the guitar, I don't know. And I did intonate it, it intonated almost perfectly when I had it on the bench, but yeah, it just won't hold tune. Oh, and this little crank that I thought was really cool, turns out this is super necessary because turning these little tuners is incredibly difficult. So these pickups are really voiced not for this. Here, let's go to like a crunch channel. So a few things I want to point out here. The first and most obvious being it's very difficult to play just because of the sharp fret edges, and it just like, it's really scratching my hand up. Okay, I just want to chime in here because I realized I didn't do a great job of explaining this. You can absolutely fix your own frets and even seat them if they happen to pop out of the fretboard a bit. But these were probably the worst I've ever seen on a guitar that I surrendered legal tender for. There were frets where not only the ends were sticking out, but the actual tang, the part that goes inside the fretboard and holds the fret in place, was sticking out of the side just waiting to snag a chunk of skin from my index finger. This resulted in what I would call micro abrasions while I was playing, which are these small scratches to the surface of your skin, not life-threatening, but certainly annoying. And if you've ever worked in a warehouse during wintertime, you've probably dealt with these while handling cardboard. The thing that makes this particularly troublesome to me is that they are specifically marketing these guitars to beginners. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they mean beginner guitar techs, but I digress. The neck profile feels mostly okay. It's like a C profile. It is very, very smooth. It's like this nice satin finish. The quality on the back of the neck does feel nice, but it's like it doesn't really matter so much when it's got such sharp frets. And the other thing I noticed while I was setting this guitar up that I forgot to mention, the bridge is crooked on this guitar as well. It's not enough to where it's like dramatically affecting, you know, which way the strings are going, but it's crooked. It's definitely skewed slightly. Let's go to a clean channel here. That's the neck pickup, by the way. You can hear, even though this is a humbucker, it has this very like, sort of like spanky cocked wah thing going on. Let's go back to the crunch without a boost on it. I mean, I guess this is fine if this is your type of tone. Just I would just say that this pickup set does not really lend itself to metal that much, if that's your thing. The mids are just kind of wrong. Let's go back to the brown variation and let's tune down to the devil's tuning. These tuners are very difficult to use, and it's not like these are fine tuners and then you have normal headstock tuners up here. There's no headstock. And you know, the whole idea behind a headless guitar is to make this more ergonomic, right? Like that's what you think of when you think of a headless Strandberg or something like that. You think of an ergonomic guitar, but this thing just wants to slide off my leg, man. I don't know if you see me like constantly adjusting it while I'm playing here, but I think probably playing it this way would be better, but then this is in the way. You know, there's no real good way to play this on your leg. I have to like hold this with my arm like this so it doesn't just slide off. add to how difficult these tuners are to turn, there's quite a bit of play in this mechanism that tunes. So basically the way this works is this thing just spins, and you can spin this little wheel that has a hole in it. That's the tuning peg. You just spin that endlessly. So this part, you know, spins until you're in tune. But there's a lot of play in it, and it's difficult to grab, so it's difficult to get into tune. Let me plug in another guitar real quick just to make sure I'm not losing my mind here. Okay, it's obviously a much different guitar, but let's see what result we get here. This sounds pretty good to me. You know, sometimes it's difficult to dial in a tone when you're using something you're so unfamiliar with, like this guitar, so that's why I plugged in this guitar. Not to compare the instruments, but just to dial in the tone so I have some sort of bass line. Let's go back to the Asmuse. Okay, so that honky mid-range isn't as bad as I thought. I'll give it that. Half the reason that I wanted to tune down is just so I could like avoid making chord shapes and dragging my fingers across this edge of the guitar. Now, it's not a noisy guitar or anything like that. I will give it credit for that. It's a little bit noisy. That single coil is a little bit noisy, but the humbucker's not. You know, it's not the greatest thing to look at. If this is your aesthetic, I apologize. You know, I'm not trying to diss you, but I think this is probably one of the most hideous guitars that I've ever plugged into. Personally, it does look like the kind of guitar a hipster would play shoegaze on though, so let's do that. She kind of does that pretty well. Okay, I'm tired of getting my hand shredded up. I've got to play something a little bit more comfortable, just to wipe the memory of playing that guitar out of my hands. So, final verdict here on the Asmuse Headless Amazon guitar. I can't suggest this to anybody. I know, shocker, right? But really the reason I can't suggest this to anybody is because you would have to be pretty skilled to be able to fix the shortcomings with this guitar. It's not what I would describe as a pleasant experience at all. Now the electronics in here were okay. The bridge being crooked, you know, I don't know. It's a budget guitar, it is what it is. You can kind of see the string breaks on the bridge now that I'm like looking at it very closely. The one thing that I did think was cool and I kind of praised it for is I thought this little magnetic sort of crank thing here was a pretty good addition because you put that in these tuning pegs and then spin them very quickly, but I now realize that this is actually a necessity. If you didn't have that restringing, this guitar would be a nightmare because these little tuning pegs are very difficult to get your fingers on and to spin them. And they all have varying degrees of tension on them as well. And then to top this whole shit sandwich off, I also mentioned that the fretboard is like almost unfinished. Like it doesn't seem like it was sanded down. You know, it's very rough. Very easy to get dirt in there. The whole locking tuner situation that we have up here, while a little bit odd, it's not offensive by any means. Now, if you can get by all of those shortcomings, and this is a guitar whose aesthetic that you enjoy, this moves you, then, you know, I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. You're an adult, probably, and you do whatever you want. On the positive side, the electronics seem to be pretty good. The pickups were relatively not noisy, and the actual wood that the guitar is made out of seems pretty decent. Like, it's got a little bit of heft to it. It's like real wood. It doesn't feel like it's sawdust, something like that. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you like what I do here on this channel, consider subscribing, or better yet, joining us on Patreon, where you get early access to videos like this one. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.